What's up, everyone? Aaron Nagler here, PackersNews.com. Late in the day on Tuesday afternoon, the Green Bay Packers have begun their tailgate tour to far-reaching locales like Appleton North, because, you know, that long, arduous journey up from the north side of Appleton, up 41 to Green Bay to see the Packers play at Lambeau. It's just too much. I just love that the whole idea originally of the tailgate tour was to bring the Packers to locations around Wisconsin where people may have trouble or difficulty, getting to Lambeau Field to see a game, getting to experience the Packers in the Lambeau environment, etc. And it used to be, they would go out and see these far-flung locations. And I get that there's still more to be tread here on the tailgate tour this summer. But now the first stop is Appleton North, which is like right by my parents' house in Appleton and basically a 20-minute drive from Lambeau Field. Come on, people. What are we doing here? Hello, everyone saying hello in the comments. It's good to see you all. Allow me to just ramble on about the tailgate tour. It's just funny to me. I mean, you're stopping at Appleton North? The whole idea of the tailgate tour was to bring the Packers to people who can't get to see the Packers. People on the north side of Appleton, they see the Packers with pretty regularly. Their ability to go see the Packers, not that difficult. Anyway, I just thought it was funny. Still need a pass rusher, says David. David is on top of it. Yes, they do. It's correct. I don't doubt for a second that Mo Wilkerson will improve their ability to put pressure on the quarterback, not just from his own ability to get to the quarterback. I don't think anyone's expecting him to come in and be a 10-sack guy, but I do think he will help them collapse pockets and put pressure on the QB in a general sense. But I also agree that they need to find someone on the outside, an edge rusher, who can win a one-on-one matchup. It's been a long time since they had someone they can count on to do so reliably. Nick Perry is able to beat some of the lesser tackles in the league. He will, get himself into a position where he makes a couple of hustle sacks. Clay Matthews, obviously, his days as a premier pass rusher are behind him. He is still a very good player, very good defensive player, very good disruptor, not a pass rusher, not an outside rusher, not a premier one in any way, shape, or form. So I agree. They definitely need a pass rusher, maybe two. And I don't doubt that they're counting on development from within. I don't doubt Reggie Gilbert and Vince Beagle will play a part when it comes to putting pressure on the quarterback from the perimeter, but they absolutely need to find at least one player in this draft. After spending the last 3 years basically ignoring the edge rushing spot in the draft outside of Vince Beagle, it's time for them to, pony up, so to speak. Did you see that Jordan Matthews deal by the Patriots? Seemed very reasonable. I agree, Andrew. As I said here on Facebook, I had heard that the Cardinals had offered him $1.5 million, and now it comes out the Pats have basically given him $1 million for the year. Clearly that's a very, very cheap deal. Coming off of 2 injuries like he is, I would not be surprised if the Packers medical staff maybe saw something they weren't comfortable with. We don't know if the Packers made an offer there. I would suspect they probably didn't, but I don't have confirmation on that. The other part of this is you look at Jordan Matthews' tape last year, and it was not very good. So I don't doubt maybe if terms were talked about, the Packers maybe threw something out there like, veterans minimum, come play with Aaron Rodgers, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, the Patriots have Tom Brady in their pocket and could offer $1 million, and that's the way of the deal. But like I said, we don't know if the Packers made an offer or not. But that said, signing or not signing Jordan Matthews was not going to swing this team one way or the other when it comes to competing for a championship. So while I think he would have been a nice addition, I don't think it's a huge miss on the part of Green Bay. We had closet issues with a Davenport before. Nice. Woo! What do you think of the new color rush uniforms? Well, hey, breaking news. The head of Fox Sports putting out there this afternoon that Color Rush is done. Color Rush is over. No more Color Rush. Thursday Night Football will return to regular jerseys this year. Sweet words that he uttered were, hardcore fans don't need gimmicks. And I think he's right. I mean, anyone taking time out of their week to sit down and watch a football game on Thursday night doesn't give two hoots about what the freaking uniforms are. You know? I did see Davante Adams put up his little post on his Insta story with the yellow jersey. Maybe that's a new alternate. Those jerseys in and of themselves have been floating around for a number of years, but we'll see. Color Rush was dumb. Wayne, I totally agree. Deborah, hello. Thanks for joining us. Harold Landry in the first round. Norman, I guess it's a possibility. I wouldn't suspect, and I've been sitting here saying they need to take a pass rusher, and Harold Landry would definitely fit the bill. But I'm very interested to see who's available to them at 14 when it comes to the secondary. If someone like Fitzpatrick or James ends up dropping to 14, that's going to be quite a decision they're going to have on their hands if Harold Landry is indeed available. But I think Landry would be a fine fit for this defense, no doubt about it. Can we face the Pats week 1? Oh, I guess they could. I know ESPN reported that the Packers have submitted a request to play at home in week 1 due to the 100-year celebration, and there's a good chance they could end up in prime time on Sunday Night Football. But the Patriots, unfortunately, that's a road game this year. So I don't think they're going to be playing the Patriots week 1. What about Sutton at wide receiver? Sean, I think he would be an excellent addition. He's somebody who they wouldn't have to, I don't think, they would have to spend a first-round pick on. They could target in the second round. There's a chance he might not be there in the second, but he would definitely be an addition who would add athleticism, speed, really, really advanced route running ability, everything they need at the perimeter opposite Davante Adams. I think he would definitely be a boon. Australia checking in. What's up, man? What do we do about long snapper? Well, it's fun. I know they have been talking to a few long snapper prospects in the draft. So I would tend to think they probably wouldn't draft one, but they would bring one in as an undrafted free agent. And of course, there's always Brett Good sitting out there. Any news on Brian Bulaga? One, last we heard from Mike McCarthy is that Bulaga is working out in Florida, and there have been no talks as far as, any kind of contract restructure or anything with his contract. So sure sounds like they're going to head into 2018 with the plan that Bulaga will be their tackle when he is healthy. Now, will he be healthy for week 1? I highly doubt it, which means he'll most likely start the year on the physically unable to perform list due to the fact that he suffered the injury so late in the season. But we'll have to see. Well, maybe the draft comes and goes and they find a couple prospects, they find something they like on the right side, and they let him go. I tend to doubt that, but you can't rule it out. Do we take best PB, I think PA, best player available or need? Everyone's going to preach best player available. Need always enters into it at some point. Famously, the Packers had Michael Crabtree as their number 1 prospect the year they drafted B.J. Raji when Crabtree went the next pick to Oakland. And that was because they were switching to a 3-4 and they needed a nose. And that's why they took Raji instead. So, need is always going to play into it. If there's similar grades on prospects, I think, need will bump up the one side or the other, will tip the scale. But for the most part, I think they will try to err on to this side of best player available. More snags next season. Cobb, Nelson, or Jordan Matthews? I'll go with Cobb. What do you think of Queen Griffin? I love him. I hope he gets drafted. I don't know if the Packers will look at him, but man, what a story. Absolutely has the tools. He's done it against top flight competition in college, just like every other prospect entering the draft process. I don't know if he'll get selected. I don't know if the Packers will even look at him, but man, I'm really looking forward to watching him in the NFL if he gets a shot. Who's the other outside receiver? Right now, Alex, it would be Geronimo Allison, most likely. Although, you can't rule out guys like D'Angelo Yancey and Michael Clark, although I think Clark is a little raw yet still. But I think Yancey's got a chance to push in camp if he's given an opportunity. Is OBJ a giant in week 1? Yeah, AJ, I think so. I know there's a lot of smoke around his possibly being moved, and I know, draft week has to come and go, and if he's going to get traded, I think that would probably be the prime window, but I'll be very surprised. I can't imagine a team ponying up what the Giants have reportedly asked for in 2 first-round picks for the honor of bestowing a $20 million+ contract on the kid. I mean, he's a difference maker. There's no doubt about it. But, man, that's a steep price to pay. I saw someone asking about Gesicki in the 2nd round. I'd be surprised, if only because he's such a project when it comes to his blocking. He's not a complete player. I think Dallas Goedert is a much likelier possibility in the 2nd. I think Gesicki's going to be a good pro. 2nd would be a bit rich for my blood. Bubba Frank's still available? I don't know, but he's on the tailgate tour. So you can check him out there. Breeland once healthy. Joe, I guess it's a possibility. I know ESPN reported that they had interest early on in the free agent process, and then he signed with Carolina. And then he clearly, failed the physical and got cut or didn't get signed. So you have to think, they'll probably stay in touch. And once he's able to pass a physical, maybe they rekindle that interest. But I haven't heard anything, and I'm just guessing. And that's... Let's see. Is Bryce Pop available? I love all the old school names. The Packers done in free agency. Nick, you can never say they're done. I mean, I'm sure they're keeping tabs on everybody, on everything. Don't forget last year, the day before the draft is when they signed Jari Evans. So I don't doubt that they are still looking and still working on stuff. Earl Thomas, Xavier, I'd be very surprised if they made that move. I know a lot of people think the Packers need to bring in safety help, but I don't think the Packers see safety as a need position in free agency. I don't think they're going to allocate free agency dollars to the safety spot. I think they could most likely draft one, but I'd be surprised if they got a free agent or traded for one in the case of Thomas. Sign Raji and our defense is set. I don't know about all that, John. Can you pick up a good edge in the 2nd round? I mean, history would suggest it's much harder to do so in the 2nd than it is the 1st. That doesn't mean it can't happen. But I tend to think if they want someone who's going to get to the quarterback with regularity, they'll have to find it at 14. Bigger year, Josh Jones or Clinton-Dix? Woo! Man, I'll go with I think Clinton-Dix is going to have a bounce back year. I understand everything that we saw last year as far as the drop off in his play. Clearly, the really disappointing outing in Detroit in Week 17. I understand all that, but I think he is still a supreme athlete. I still think he's got all the talent in the world, and I think Mike Pettine is going to make a big, big difference. So, like I said, I understand the history is there, and there's no doubt that he was extremely disappointing in 2017. But I do think 2018 sets up for him to have a big bounce back. Hercules in the 4th, I love that idea. That kid, he's fun. He's got some fun tape. I like that idea. Our edge rusher should be Perry. Well, Khalib, I think he is an edge rusher. And look, I understand, you look at the fact that the deal he signed last offseason and when he was set to hit free agency, when they re-signed him, it feels like, they paid him all this money. But comparative to the Von Millers of the world, they're not grossly overpaying him. Like I said before, he beats up on lesser tackles, and he runs himself into some hustle sacks, and he plays the run extremely well. The biggest problem with Nick Perry is that he's unable to stay on the field. If he could just play all 16 games, I think his production would warrant what you're paying him. But, when you're missing so much time due to injury each and every year, it's hard to not look at the money and get a little frustrated. But, I think Perry, when he's on the field, is a good player. Vita Vea at 14. Evan, I've been saying since February, I think, that if Vita Vea is available at 14, they have to consider him. And I don't think that's, a slam dunk. I don't think they in any way, shape, or form are sitting there right now, even 2 weeks out of the draft, saying that's our guy. But look, like you say in your comment here, Wilkerson signed to a 1-year deal. There's nothing guaranteed beyond that. Mike Daniels, he's in the middle of his deal. And Kenny Clark, obviously an ascending talent. But, you've as a general manager, your job is to look down the road. And if Vita Vea grades out as the best player on their board and they're on the clock, to me it makes a lot of sense. Not to mention, for 2018, it allows you to have a really dominant front, much like the Eagles had this year, where they're able to rotate guys in throughout the game and be fresh in the fourth quarter when you can do things like take advantage of a worn-down offensive front and cause a game-changing fumble. To me, I understand the need at corner. I understand the need at edge. But if you can just be in the quarterback's lap, down in and down out throughout the entire game, you're going to cause some havoc. And I think Vita Vea helps in that regard. Anything on Breeland? Kevin, I talked about Breeland a little bit earlier in the video. Nothing yet that we've heard, but it's always a possibility. Who's the second best corner in the draft? Whew, Peter, that's a good question. Probably Josh Jackson. After Ward. I'd put Ward 1 and then Jackson 2. Now this is just pure cover perimeter corner is what I'm talking about. Classic. I'm not talking about like guys in the slot. Jonathan, nothing on Delvin Bro. And I actually reached out yesterday to a couple people at 1265 and didn't hear back from most of them. One guy did get back to me and said he hadn't heard anything. So, yeah, it's a great mystery. I know he said he was meeting with the Packers, but I have no idea if that meeting has happened. We just have to wait and see. Will Rodgers get a $200 million contract? I don't know about all that, but I do think he'll get close to $100 million guaranteed. How about your mock draft, Travis? It'll be the week of the draft. Watch out for it at PackersNews.com. They won't take a wide receiver in the first, will they? Maybe, if they think that's the best player. And, they say they're on the clock at 14 and they have a wide receiver graded far, head and shoulders above all the other defensive prospects. It's a need. I wouldn't be surprised if they took one. Do you think we can have a top 15 defense this season? Is that too optimistic? No, that's not too optimistic. I would expect that with Mike Pettine. I understand sitting here mid-April, that may feel like a lofty goal, especially coming off of the kind of dumpster fire that we saw last season. But that's how much of a difference I think Pettine will make. I think top 15 is the bare minimum that they should be in 2018. With the number of draft picks they have, should they trade down? I would tend to doubt it, but you never know, especially with Gutekunst talking about his desire and or preference for more swings to the plate, bites at the apple, choose your metaphor. But I also, think because of the fact that they have more draft picks than anybody else, that clearly makes them a candidate to trade up if they love a guy. But they have to love him. I'll take one or two more here. Trade down a couple spots, get another third and fifth, take McGlinchey from Notre Dame. Yeah, I mean, you got to think tackle is a need, right? Especially with Balaga's situation. I'd be surprised if they took one in the first, if only because of their track record finding really good offensive line players later in the draft. Now, obviously, you're not it's not lock solid. Look at Jason Spriggs. That's been a bit of a miss. But that was clearly the second round. They traded up. But they found their franchise left tackle in the fourth round. So it's possible. I totally hear what you're saying, especially, like I said, with Balaga's situation. But I'd be surprised if that's the route they went. Really hope they get DJ Chark. Well, he's a possibility in the second round. There's no doubt about that. His speed would open things up big time for that offense. There's no doubt about that. All right, everybody, I'm going to jump. Thank you so much for all the questions. I'm sorry if I couldn't get to yours. They do fly by very fast. But I'll be back tomorrow, barring any breaking news overnight. But in the meantime, make sure you're checking PackersNews.com for all the latest about the Packers. We'll have it all for you. Until tomorrow, guys, have a great night.